So today I am going to be showing you how to make the Yarnsmiths Ponder hat. It's a free pattern and it's a free download from Wool Warehouse, and the pattern number is 7176, and I am going to be using the yarn that's suggested, which is the Yarnsmiths Nirvana in Aran, and this is the colourway Summer Solstice, and the colour number is 2P030. So that's the yarn I'm going to be using, which is the recommended yarn on the free pattern. So we're also going to need some knitting needles, and for this pattern we need two sizes. So we need 4mm knitting needles, and you can use straights, you don't need cable. These are just my go-to needles. We don't work in the round, it's knitted flat, so just your regular knitting needles are fine in a 4mm. And then we'll also need them in 4.5. So that's the two sizes of knitting needles we should be using throughout the project. Also need a sharp pair of scissors and a darning needle for sewing up the back of the hat because it's knitted flat, and for sewing in our ends. So let's get started. So taking your 4mm knitting needles, we're going to cast on 79 stitches. So I'm going to be using the long tail cast on method. That's my go-to cast on, but you can use any cast on method you prefer. So go ahead now and cast on 79 stitches and meet me back here. Okay, so once you've cast on your 79 stitches on your 4mm needles, we're now ready to begin row 1, which is knit 1, purl 1, knit 1. And then we repeat from purl 1. So we're now going to be following the pattern of purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1. And we're going to continue this pattern of purl 1, knit 1 now all along this row. So continue to knit in the pattern of purl 1, knit 1, and join me at the end of row 1. So I'm just going up to the last two stitches now of the row, and we should be finishing with a purl 1 and a knit 1 to finish the row. And now we're ready to move on to row 2. Okay, so row 2 begins with a purl 1, followed by a knit 1, followed by a purl 1. And now we need to repeat from start, which is knit 1. So the pattern for this row is going to be knit 1, purl 1. And this will create our rib. So for row 2, just continue working along your row now in the pattern of knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, and join me back at the end of row 2. Okay, so I'm just coming up to my last two stitches of row 2 now, and so we should be finishing the row with a knit 1 followed by a purl 1, and that completes row 2. Okay, so moving on to row 3 now, we begin with knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, and the pattern for the rest of this row is purl 1, knit 1. So continue working this row in the pattern of purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, and join me at the end of this row. Okay, so just coming up to the end of row 3, and we should be finishing with a purl 1 followed by a knit 1 in the very last stitch. So now we're ready to move on to row 4, and row 4 begins with a purl 1 followed by knit 1 followed by purl 1. And now the pattern for the rest of the row continues as knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1. So we're going to go ahead now and continue in that pattern of knit 1, purl one, knit one, purl one, all the way along this row, and join me back here at the end of the row. Okay, so just coming up to the end of row 4 now, and we finished with a knit and a purl in that very last stitch. So you should now have something looking similar to this, so you can see the rib of the hat forming here. Okay, so now we're ready to move on to row 5, which begins with a knit followed by a purl followed by a knit. Now for this row, the pattern will continue as purl followed by a knit, purl followed by a knit. So continue working as purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit all the way to the end, and join me at the end of this row. Okay, so just coming up to the end of row 5 now, and we should be finishing with a purl followed by a knit in that very last stitch, and that completes row 5. So we're now ready to move on to row 6, and row 6 begins with a purl. So we're going to purl the first stitch followed by a knit followed by a purl in the next stitch. And so the pattern for the rest of this row is a knit followed by a purl, knit followed by a purl, a knit followed by a purl. So continue working in this way with knit, purl, and join me at the end of row 6. Okay, so just coming up to the end of row 6 now, and we should be finishing with a knit followed by a purl, and that completes row 6. So we're now ready to move on to row 7, which will be the last row of our rib. And to begin row 7, we are going to start with knit 1 followed by purl 1 followed by a knit 1, and the pattern for row 7 will be purl 1 followed by knit 1. So purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1. So continue in the pattern of purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1 for the rest of row 7, and join me back here at the end of the row. And we finish row 7 with a purl 1 followed by a knit 1 in that last stitch, and that completes row 7. Moving on to row 8 now. This is slightly different. So we're going to begin with rib 3. So our first stitch is a purl. So go ahead and purl the first stitch, and we're going to knit the second stitch, and we're going to purl the third stitch. Now the pattern asks us to make one, so to do this we need to pop our right hand needle underneath this bar that lies between our two needles. So pick the bar up with your right hand needle, transfer it across to your left, bring your working yarn back round ready to knit. Now instead of knitting this stitch through the front, we need to knit it through the back. So you just pick up that stitch through the back, yarn over and knit, and you'll now find that you've got 4 stitches on your right hand needle where we've made one. Now the pattern asks us to rib 8, so remembering to keep it in pattern, so the pattern is knit, purl, we need to rib 8. So I'll do it with you. So stitch 1 is a knit, so 1 knit, 2 purl, 3 knit, 4 purl, 5 knit, 6 purl, 7 knit, and 8 is purl. Okay, Now we need to repeat the make 1 and rib 8 for a further 8 times. So we need to pick up and make 1, and now we need to rib 8 in pattern. So 1 is knit, 2 is purl, 3 is knit, 4 is purl, 5 is knit, 6 is purl, 7 is knit, and 8 is purl. And that's another set complete. So again, we need to pick up and make 1, and now we need to knit 8 in rib. So knit 1, 2 is purl, 3 is knit, 4 is purl, 5 is knit, 6 is purl, 7 is knit, and 8 is purl. And that completes set 3. So now again we need to make 1, and rib 8. So knit 1, purl 2, knit 3, purl 4, knit 5, purl 6, knit 7, and purl 8. And that completes set 4. So again, we're ready now to make 1, and now we need to rib 8. So knit 1, purl is 2, knit is 3, purl is 4, knit is 5, purl is 6, knit is 7, and purl is 8. And that completes set 5. So again, we need to make 1, and rib 8. So 1 is knit, 2 is purl, 3 is knit, 4 is purl, 5 is knit, 6 is purl, 7 is knit, and 8 is purl. And that completes set 6. So again, we need to make 1, and now we need to rib 8. So knit is 1, purl is 2, knit is 3, purl is 4, knit is 5, purl is 6, knit is 7, and purl is 8. And that completes set 7. So again, now we need to make 1, and rib 8. So knit is 1, purl is 2, knit is 3, purl is 4, knit is 5, purl is 6, knit is 7, and purl is 8. And that completes set 8. Now ready to complete the last set. So again, make 1, and rib 8. So 1 is knit, 2 purl, 3 knit, 4 is purl, 5 is knit, 6 is purl, 7 is knit, and 8 is purl. And that completes set 9. So we're now left with 4 stitches. So we now need to go ahead and make one. So as we did before, just go ahead and make one. And now for the remaining 4 stitches, we need to rib. So keeping in pattern, we knit, followed by a purl, followed by a knit. And the very last stitch is a purl. And that completes row 8. Okay, before we move on to row 9 now, we need to change our needles. Now I'm using interchangeable needles, so I'm just going to pull my knitting back and just unscrew my tips and change to my 4.5 millimeters. Obviously, if you're using straight needles, then you just pick up your 4.5 millimeter to knit the next row. So I'm just going to go ahead now and just swap my needle tips. Okay, so using your 4.5 millimeter knitting needle now, we are going to begin row 9 with knit 1, followed by purl 1, followed by knit 1. Now for this row, we're going to follow the pattern of purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1. So we're going to go ahead and purl the next stitch, and then we're going to go ahead and knit the next stitch, purl the next stitch, knit the next stitch, purl the next stitch. So continue in pattern now of purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1 until the end of the row, and join me back here. So I'm just coming up to the end of this row now, and I've got my final 2 stitches, which we finish with our purl followed by our knit, and that completes row 9. Now moving on to row 10 is going to be the same as row 9, because we're going to be knitting in moss stitch. So for row 10, we're going to do exactly the same as what we've just done on the previous row. So we begin with a knit the first stitch, we're going to purl the second stitch, and we're going to knit the third stitch. And for the rest of the row, we continue in pattern of purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1. So continue working in exactly the same way as we did for row 9 now, with the pattern of purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, and join me back here at the end of row 10. I'm just coming up to the end of row 10 now, and you'll see that I'm just going to finish again with a purl followed by a knit. So that completes row 10. So what we've actually done now by doing those 2 rows, row 9, which was on the right side of our work, and by doing the same pattern on the wrong side of our work for row 10, we've actually created a pattern called moss stitch. And we will be continuing to work in that moss stitch now until our hat measures 20 centimeters or 8 inches. So nice and easy now, just continue that pattern for every single row until your hat measures 20 centimeters or 8 inches. The pattern of knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, and then you repeat purl, knit, purl, knit all the way to the end of the row, and you could continue to do that every row, right side and wrong side, and that creates your beautiful moss stitch. So continue working in this beautiful moss stitch now until your work measures the 20 centimeters or 8 inches. The only thing you need to be mindful of is that you need to finish on a wrong side, and one quick way you can tell that if you're on the right side or the wrong side if you're unsure is that your cast on tail will always be on your right hand side, on the right side of your work. On the wrong side of our work, the tail will be on our left hand side. So you need to finish your 20 centimeters or your 8 inches on a wrong side row. So the last row you do, your tail end needs to be on the left hand side. Okay, so continue working in moss stitch now until you reach your 20 centimeters and join me here finishing on our wrong side. Okay, so I have now reached my 8 inches of finishing on the wrong side. So we're now ready to begin shaping the top of our hat. So the first row of our shaping asks us to moss stitch the first stitch. So we can see we have a purl stitch facing us. So because we're doing moss stitch, we do the opposite. So we're going to start with a knit stitch. So go ahead and we're going to knit the first stitch. Now the pattern asks us to work 3 together. So what that means is we're going to knit the next 3 stitches as if they were one stitch. So just go ahead and pop your needle in the back of the third stitch and put your needle through knitwise through all 3 stitches. So it looks like this. And then we're just going to wrap our yarn over and knit. So you can now see that those 3 stitches have turned into one stitch. So we've decreased 2 stitches. So that's our knit 3 together, or our work 3 together. And now the pattern asks us to knit 8 stitches in moss stitch. So we need to be careful because we need to keep in this moss stitch pattern. So if we look here, we can see the next stitch is a purl stitch. So that means we need to start with a knit because we're doing the opposite. So we've got to keep in that moss stitch all the way through this row. So we need to go ahead now and knit the next 8 stitches working in the moss stitch. So 1 is a knit, 2 will be our purl, 3 knit, 4 purl, 5 knit, 6 purl, 7 knit, and 8 will be our purl. So now the pattern asks us to repeat that process of knitting 3 together followed by knitting 8 in moss stitch. So I'll go through it again with you. So we're going to go ahead and knit our 3 together as if they were one stitch. Okay, and now we're going to work 8 in moss stitch. Again, you need to go back and check the pattern. So this time we have a knit facing us of our first stitch. So we need to begin the pattern this time with our purl. So we're going to go ahead. So purl is 1, knit is 2, purl 3, knit 4, purl 5, knit 6, purl 7, and we finish with a knit 8. So that completes the second set. So the pattern just asks us to keep repeating that pattern of the knit 3 together followed by knit 8 in the moss stitch. So continue now in that pattern, knit 3 together, knit 8 in the moss stitch, but just always remembering to check your moss stitch is keeping in pattern. Okay, so go ahead and finish this row and meet me back here. Okay, so once you've completed that round, the next 5 rounds are nice and easy. We're going to work simply 5 rounds in our moss stitch. So go ahead now, continue to work 5 rows, keeping in your moss stitch pattern, and join me back here. So I've now completed my 5 rows of moss stitch. So we're now ready to move on to row 7 of shaping the top of our hat. So it asks us to moss stitch 1 stitch. So look at where we are in our pattern. So the first stitch is going to be a knit stitch. So go ahead and knit the first stitch. Now the pattern asks us to knit 3 together. So like we did in row 1, we take those 3 stitches and work them as 1 stitch and just knit them together. And now the pattern asks us to knit the next 6 stitches in the moss stitch. So again, just check where we are in the pattern. So we can see that the next stitch is going to be a knit stitch. So we'll go ahead now and knit the next 6 stitches in moss stitch. So the first one is going to be a knit, followed by purl, 3 is knit, 4 is purl, 5 is knit, and the 6th is a purl. Okay, and now the pattern asks us to repeat that process of the knit 3 together followed by the knit 6 in moss stitch. So I'll show you again. I'll do one more set with you. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to knit the next 3 stitches as 1 stitch again. And now we're going to go ahead and knit the next 6 stitches in moss stitch. So rechecking the pattern. This time it starts with a purl. So purl is 1, knit is 2, purl is 3, knit is 4, purl is 5, and the knit is 6. So what we need to do now is to complete the row with that pattern of the knit 3 together followed by knitting 6 in the moss stitch. So again, just be mindful that you're starting your moss stitch in the correct pattern when you do your knit 6. So complete this row and join me at the end. Okay, so now you've completed row 7, we're going to work 3 rows of moss stitch again, so 3 nice easy rows. So row 8, 9 and 10, we're simply working moss stitch rows. So go ahead, do your 3 rows of moss stitch and join me back here. So after completing your 3 rows of moss stitch, we're now ready to move on to row 11. So row 11 starts with moss stitch 1, which will be our knit the first stitch, followed by our knit 3 together. And this time we're going to work moss stitch across the next 4 stitches. So again, just checking where we are in our pattern. So this one's going to start with a knit. So 1 is knit, 2 is purl, 3 is knit, and 4 is a purl. And now, like we did on row 1 and row 7, we're going to repeat that. So we're going to go ahead again and knit the 3 stitches together. So knit 3 together, followed by our knit 4 in moss stitch. So again, just checking the pattern. So this time we're going to start with a knit, 1, purl is 2, 3 is a knit, and 4 is a purl. For row 11, just continue working in this way now of your knit 3 together followed by your knit 4 in moss stitch, and join me at the end of the row. Okay, so now we've completed row 11, we're ready to move on, and the pattern asks us to work 3 rows in our moss stitch. So we're going to go ahead now and work row 12, 13 and 14 in our moss stitch, so nice easy rows for us, and then join me back here ready for row 15. So after completing our 3 rows, we're ready to move on now to row 15, and row 15 is moss stitch, the first stitch, so that's our knit stitch, followed by our knit 3 together. So we go ahead now and knit our 3 stitches as one, followed by moss stitch the next 2 stitches. So again, we just recheck our pattern. So the next one is a knit, so that's 1, and 2 is a purl. And that brings us back to the beginning of the set for this row. So again, we need to work 3 together. So knit the 3 together, followed by our moss stitch in the next 2 stitches. So again, just checking where we are in the pattern. So this time we're going to start with a purl, followed by a knit for our second stitch, and again we're ready to knit our 3 together. So continue in this way now for row 15 with your knit 3 together, followed by knitting the next 2 stitches in moss stitch, and meet me at the end of the row. So row 17 begins with a knit 1, followed by our work 3 together. And the pattern for row 17 is simply working 3 stitches together all the way along to the end of the row. So we go ahead now and knit the next 3 stitches together. And now just continue working your knit 3s together all the way along the end of this row and meet me back here. And at the end of that row, we now have a stitch count of 9. So all that's left for us to do now is to go ahead and cut a length of yarn long enough to feed back through these 9 stitches, and we're going to gather them, and then we're going to fasten off, and then we're going to sew down the side seam. So go ahead and cut a nice length of yarn ready to thread through these stitches and for sewing up the side seams. And once we've cut our yarn, we're just going to thread that through our darning needle, And now we're just going to thread it through these stitches. So I'm just going to thread the yarn through, so just slip in my stitches now onto my needle here, and then once they're all on, I'm just going to pull my yarn through. So I'm just going to pull that tight at the top there, and then I'm just going to pop a little knot just in the very top just to secure that. You'll see that will just tighten that up and secure the top of our hat. So now what I'm going to do is just turn my hat inside out, and I'm just going to sew along the seam. So that's our two open edges. So that's my right side. So I'm right sides together, and then I'm just going to sew the side seam to complete our hat.